Wow, I am awestruck. Following that remarkable video tribute to Maya D. Wiley in her extraordinary journey, there really is nothing left to be said. I mean, awestruck at her achievements, her dedication, and the passion for advancing civil rights and social justice. Maya has been the force in law, in government, in the classroom, and in the public square. She is a living embodiment of the ideals that Justice Thurgood Marshall fought to secure. She is a moral compass of our times, reminding us that the work of civil rights is never finished and that each generation is called upon to take the mantle and carry it further. Without further ado, I present to you a trailblazer, an advocate, a defender of justice whose leadership lights the path for all of us, the 2025 recipient of the Thurgood Marshall Award, Maya D. Wiley.
Chair Durham, I just thank you for that incredible introduction, but also your leadership chairing such a critical section. I want to thank President Bay for his kind words and his important statements. I want to share for everyone who participated in putting together not just that video, the staff behind the scenes, Paula, Allie, Bree, so many people who I know made this happen. I usually keep blur on my screen. I took the blur off so you could see these gorgeous, this bouquet. I joked with Harlan, who you saw in the video, who happens to be traveling. I said, we're even having a wedding or I'm dying. These are so gorgeous. And I have the award next to them. But I have to say this. I don't know if you all know that out there in award land. They don't show you the video they're going to show about you. And I don't even remember what I was going to say. I am so humbled. I'm so honored. I was already overwhelmed with the fact that I was even nominated for this, the fact that I was even in the running for such a prestigious and important award honoring a lawyer, a leader, a judge, a justice, who is the reason I went to law school. I literally went to law school to walk in the footsteps of Thurgood Marshall. That was the thought in my mind. I had decided that I had to get to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. It was a place I must work. And that I had decided if I couldn't get to a law school that might get me there, I wasn't going to go to law school. That's a true story. And then I ended up at Columbia in part, obviously grateful that I got in, but because Jack Greenberg was the vice dean of the law school who had worked on Brown v. Board and had worked with Thurgood Marshall. And I thought, and Julius Chambers, the director counsel of the Legal Defense Fund at the time, was an adjunct professor there. And I just thought, that's it. That's why I'm going to law school. That's my path. And I think you all know, I don't have to say much about why Thurgood Marshall was such an icon and why I would want to do anything that enabled me to not to walk in his footsteps was not to be a giant as he was, but to understand that the law could be such a tremendous tool for social justice, that my parents, who were movement organizers, who put their feet in the street, who did everything they could to empower low-income women of color, Black women, low-income people, see the possibility of multiracial organizing, but did it as organizers. I understood that I would not be able to do what they did well. And I remember saying to my mother, well, I can argue. I can get paid to argue. I get paid to argue this. Oh, I'm gonna do that. But I also really wanted to be a movement lawyer, which is what Thurgood Marshall was, a lawyer that was using the courts as a tool to support the people who were protesting in the streets and the things that they were protesting in the streets for. I'm so overcome by that video, in part because, as you all know, and as my dear friend Janae Nelson recognized and stated, this is a session that we're having online because attorneys, members of the bar, people, you who are contributing not just your talents to a career and a profession, but in a section that is critically investing in perfecting this union and ensuring that people get what they need, ensuring that the law does justice and just does it for everyone. That we are in a time when you did not feel able to cross a state border into another country for fear about what the current administration might do when you tried to come back in. And I say that because it's also a day, and I'm sure many of you saw this news, we have two federal judges. We have two federal judges, John McConnell from District of Rhode Island and Judge John Coffenauer from the Western District of Washington, who did something that is not normal in our times, and Vanita Gupta speak to it too. They literally went public with the degree of fear, of threats, of intimidation they face simply by doing their jobs as judges, applying the law to the facts of the cases before them, and doing what the law demands and requires, including for Judge Coffenauer, as we know, protecting birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship, which we got as a result of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution, because we fought a civil war to end slavery and to ensure citizenship rights to Black people and to all people who didn't have them, which are not only Black people. And I say that because when I think about that, as I hear all those wonderful, moving statements from people I respect so deeply, people I learned from, people who support me and carry me and lift me up, people who've taught me so much. And at a time when I'm getting this award for trying to do a little to walk in the footsteps of Thurgood Marshall, that I'm reminded by these words of his that I think we don't hear enough and seem so much more applicable today, maybe than even when he shared them. And he said, "I wish I could say that racism and prejudice were only distant memories. We must dissent from the indifference. We must dissent from the apathy. We must dissent from the fear, the hatred, and the mistrust. We must dissent from a nation that has buried its head in the sand, waiting in vain for the needs of its poor, its elderly, its sick to disappear and just blow away. We must dissent from a government that has left its young without jobs, education, or hope. We must dissent from the poverty of vision and the absence of moral leadership. We must dissent because America can do better, because America has no choice but to do better. And that means all of us have no choice but to do more, but to dissent, but to reject apathy, to reject fear. And, the rejection of fear, and one of the things I learned from my parents, is not the absence of fear. That's not what it means. We're right to be afraid. And in fact, that should be a motivating factor. We're right to be angry. And that should motivate us too, because our anger is born of moral outrage about all those things that Thurgood Marshall reminded us that we should dissent from. And that its core, racism ultimately is that driver of fear, that driver of mistrust, that tool that tells people that they should choose tyranny over democracy, that they should choose exclusion over a country, an America that lives up to her ideals. And it is lawyers who have so much power, not just to demonstrate that we, with our fear, will be fearless. Doesn't mean we're not afraid. Doesn't mean there aren't consequences. But as President Barr said, that we must do justice. And when we do it, others realize they can, and others realize they're not standing alone, because we are uniting to use every tool in our toolbox to ensure that there will not be despair, that we will no longer tolerate any government that would try to drive us apart rather than knit us together. So I am humbled because I, like you, am simply working hand in hand, trying to find a way. And I think about Thurgood Marshall and so many other leaders whose shoulders we stand on, and remember what they had to face, the fears they had to face, the challenges. In those days, that could include exactly what we were hearing from Judge Coffenauer and from Judge McConnell, which is the fear of threats, violence, intimidation. And as we know, in our history, people have been killed or have lost jobs or have been exiled simply for standing up for the rights of people in this country. So I say that now because I'm not telling you not to be afraid. I'm not. Nor am I accepting this award because I feel like I'm worthy, because I don't. But because I feel like awards like these and these opportunities to celebrate each other, and I celebrate every last one of the leaders you heard from, because every last one of them has held me up. And that is why, in no matter the fear, I feel powerful. It's because of you. It's because of what you insist on doing, no matter the odds. It is because we do it together. And in accepting this award, I will just say this: we are the ones that we have been waiting for. It is not going to be just us, because it is all of us. And what I am passionate about, even when I'm fearful, even when I feel inadequate, even when I think I'm not doing enough, even why I wonder why anybody says anything nice about me, even as I tell my friends, I don't know why they gave me this award, but boy, am I honored and humbled, that it is because we share a passion for what is possible and a refusal to allow it to happen without our dissent. So we dissent, but we dissent for a vision and a future of this country for all of us. So I just want to thank you for being people who make me feel powerful, and people who give me hope, and for an award that reminds me of the footsteps we have to continue to walk in. Thank you.
Let's give another round of applause by showing your gratitude for Maya D. Wiley. Wow. I am a little speechless. Tonight has truly been electric. We honor the legacy of Justice Thurgood Marshall while we celebrate Maya D. Wiley's extraordinary contributions. Let us remember that the work for justice isn't limited to grand gestures or courtroom victories or headlines. What inspired me the most about Maya's journey is that it lives in the conviction of activism, the small acts of courage and kindness, the willingness to really do just what's right, the ability to take a bold stand, and the commitment to just show up, wherever you are, however you are, whenever you can. What I heard in your sharing with us was a call to action to further advance civil rights and social justice. As you know, and as it's been stated, these times require us now more than ever. And I almost felt like Justice Marshall was here in the room with us when you were quoting him. The reality of it is that we must dissent. Each of us has the capacity to make a difference. You can give your time by volunteering for a cause that moves you. You can share your talent by lending your expertise, your encouragement of others, your voice to those who need it. You can share your treasure, no matter how small or how large, to help sustain the efforts that matter the most to you. You can do this whether you're a lawyer or just a concerned citizen. You are absolutely part of the movement. And as Justice Marshall himself said, where you see wrong or inequality or injustice, speak out because this is your country. This is your democracy. Make it, protect it, pass it on. In other words, dissent. I want to thank each of you for being here today. Thank you for showing up for Maya. Thank you for supporting the ongoing work of the ABA section of Civil Rights and Social Justice. I encourage you to find more about our section by visiting www.ambar.org/CRSJ or by donating if you so choose by visiting our website. Your presence, your generosity fuels our advocacy, our programming, and our commitment. It helps us keep going when all other things are faced upon us. So I encourage you to keep going, keep celebrating each other. Thank you for showing up tonight. Thank you for your engagement, your encouragement, and your belief in a better future. Have a wonderful night, and most importantly, keep dissenting. Thank you.